Well, welcome to the Klaverblad International High Jump competition. And if you're joining us, well, we're starting a little late. The reason why, and it's a very good reason, is that we had a very good under 20 and under 23 men's competition that just overran. And that was won by the Dutch under 20 international Ridsard Punt with 2:14. And he had a couple of respectable attempts at a new personal best of 2:20. So the competition, the women's competition, has been delayed by about 20 minutes. It should have started at the top of the hour at 1500 Central European summertime, but now it's going to get underway at 1520. But nevertheless, we've got a very good competition in store for you, I think, with some very good women from not just around Europe, but also from the likes of South Africa as well. So women coming here from far and wide. Competitors who I'm sure we're going to see as well at the European Athletics Championships coming up next month between the 10th to the 16th of August in Birmingham. Several of these women have qualified for those championships. And then, well, assuming that we stick to the schedule or perhaps get back on schedule, we've got the men's competition coming up at 1700 Central European summertime. So I'll just take a break for a few minutes, and then with the women's presentation scheduled to get underway in about 5 minutes. Well, as you can hear the infield announcer say, we're just about ready to get underway. Running a little bit late, as I said, after that very good men's under-20, under-23 competition, which ran just a bit longer than the organisers thought. We have a 9-women international field for this Klaverblad International High Jump competition, a World Athletics Continental Tour Challenger meeting. And dare I say it, the latest in one of many specialist high jump competitions that have been broadcast on the European Athletics live stream. Well, we had the likes of Trinich, Hustapeche and Banska Bystrica, as well as a couple more. Udine, that's it, I forgot one, during the course of the indoor season. And recently we had Brno as well in Czechia. Indeed, one or two of these women competed in Brno. A bit later on this summer, after the European Athletics Championships, we'll also be off to Germany for the Heilbronn Hochsprung meeting, the German high jump meeting there. So, youngsters being organised for the presentation of the athletes. So, first woman leading the way, European indoor silver medalist in 2023, Britt Veerman, followed by Bianca Stichling, 3 times German champion indoors and out. Person who's becoming very familiar if you're watching European Athletics live streams, Glenka Antonia. She's featured in a lot of our broadcasts over the course of the last 12, 18 months. 5 times Dutch champion. Lola Picard, coming from France, can claim a personal best of 186. And here's the Belgian, Jordan Linil. She has a personal best of 185. Lucille Shi, second French woman in this competition. Set a personal best indoors and outdoors this year, 184 her best. And the very good Christy Snyman from South Africa, the reigning African champion, took that title in Accra a couple of months ago. Following along, Nina Borger, not the first time she's competed here, was actually 4th back in 2023, and then completing the lineup, Marta Morada. Morara in the black t-shirt cleared 1.90 meters at that Brno meeting very recently. That was a personal best. Big improvement for Morara. So there we go. That is the 9 women who are going to be competing. Best woman in the field, on the far left of your picture, Britt Veerman. World Under-20 Championships silver medalist in 2022. European Under-20 champion back in 2021 and holds the Dutch record at 1.96 meters. Ours actually set indoors, but as high jump aficionados will know, there's no longer any official indoor and outdoor records, separate records. After a World Athletics ruling back in November 2023, the jumps indoor records were cast into history. However, plenty of countries still have national indoor records, and it's still, well, it really is a point of interest as well. So it will be the Veerman who's the first to jump, theoretically, but I'm not sure she's going to come in at 165, which is the opening height, and indeed it looks like it's going to be Linil, the Belgian. Linil, Belgian under-20 international, finished 7th at the European under-23 championships back in 2023, and before that went to the World Juniors. Didn't make it out of qualifying in 2022 when those championships were in Cali in Colombia. So Linil, best of 185, which dates back to 2023. Nicely over, no problems at 165. Almost a training jump for her. It's very warm out there in the centre of the RV Lilian in the Van Tuyl Park in Zoetermeer. It's about 27 degrees, and as you can see, breezy as well. Nina Borger, well clear. Shouldn't have any problems at this height. Borger, second at the Dutch Indoor Championships behind Glenka Antonia back in March. Borger a best of 186, but that came back in 2023. This is just a third outdoor competition. As the bar quickly goes up to 170. Probably see a couple more athletes coming in at this height. Indeed, looks like Britt Veerman. Well, Veerman's been struggling a little bit. This is her first outdoor competition. She declared 185 in the Banska Bystrica meeting, which is on the European Athletics YouTube channel back in February, but then no heighted at the National Championships in Apeldoorn. And she did rattle the bar there. Was a very, very talented under-20 athlete. But then a bad knee injury back in outdoors in 2023 has stalled her progress just when it looked like she might go on and be an athlete to clear the 2-meter barrier after clearing 196. So Lola Picard, the next to take an attempt at 1.70 meters. Well, Picard, rather unwanted accolade of being the first to bring the bar down in this women's competition. Member of the St Maxa Sci Club. Very talented all-rounder. Good marks as well for the 100 meters hurdles. Linil. High stepping runner, comfortably over. Linil. Come straight from Kortrijk, where she jumped yesterday, Linil. Clearing 171 there. Now Nina Borger, fast runner, rather untidy. Sort of just threw herself at the bar. Member of the AV Unitas Club. Turns 23 in 10 days' time. Now Marta Morara. Morara had that terrific competition in Brno just over 2 weeks ago. Slightly less impressive when she competed in Varsdeen. Just 177 at the end of last month. A couple of days after her Brno outing. Bags of height there for Morara. She's just a little bit below the Birmingham, when I say Birmingham, the European Athletics Championships qualifying standard. She needs 194 or to be in the ranking points, and a good performance here would get her more ranking points. Just Ida Pieroni for the Italians qualified for Birmingham so far. Lola Pickard. And Pickard over after that first time failure. No problems there. Nina Borger take a second attempt as well. And that was a much tidier effort. Of course, we've seen it so often. Failures at early heights can come back to haunt you later in the competition. It can make sometimes the difference between places. So the bar goes up to 174. I would imagine we'll see a couple more athletes coming in at this height as well. But first to go, Britt Veerman. Well, Veerman comfortably over 174. Much better jump than her earlier attempt at 170. Still rattled it, but bags of daylight between the bar and her torso. Now, Bianca Stichling, now 26 years of age, was 5th at the World Under-18 Championships back in 2017. Was 8th at the European Under-23 Championships in 2021, so has some international experience, and last year on home soil was 8th at the World University Games. Comfortably over. Stichling wearing the familiar red vest, red singlet of the Bayer Leverkusen club, that famous German club, multi-sports club. It's also got a rather good football team most seasons. Glenka Antonia. Ooh, that wasn't a particularly good jump, but she got away with it. I think she just took it a bit too casually. Caught it with her backside as she went over the bar. Needs to be a bit more committed when the bar gets a little bit higher. Lola Pickard. Needed 2 attempts to get over 170. Similar problem to her first attempt at 170, just taking off a little bit too far away. Went over 185 indoors in Limoges back in January, so Certainly this is well within her capabilities. She's also been over 181 this year. Jeroen Linil. Linil seems to be a little bit stuck between about 170 and 176. Season's best this year, 177 2 months ago, back in the middle of May in Bruges. So Linil brings the bar down. And the second French woman in this competition, Lucille Jay. Her first attempt. Nice jump from Jay. No problems for the French woman. Heels a little bit close to the bar, but I think her coach might just have a word with her. Some of the athletes will have the coaches with them. Now, Christy Snyman. This is a woman in good form at the moment. Based in Loughborough in England nowadays, where she's doing a master's degree. Good jump from Snyman. As I said, the African champion went over 188. That's a season's best in Greece at the end of May. Nina Borgia. Ooh, took off a long way away, had the height, but her high point was rather a long way in front of the bar. Took it off with her backside. Now the last with the first attempts in this first round, Marta Marara. Not the quickest of run-ups, but get good elevation. Tickled the bar there, but torso well above. Plenty of daylight. I think she just clipped it with her heels. Yes. Didn't quite bring her heels through quick enough, but got away with it. So we have 3 women to take second attempts, starting with Lola Picard. Picard. Cleared 185, as I mentioned, in Limoges back at the end of January. That's a 2026 best. That's a nice effort. Goes well clear at the second attempt. It's going to be Jeroen Linil. Linil, personal best coming back in 2023, 3 years ago, 185. As I said, bit stuck in the mid-70s at the moment. But she stays alive in this competition. Doesn't matter how hard you hit the bar, as long as it stays on the stanchions. Now, Nina Borger. Can she complete a full set of 9 women who will advance to the next height, which will be 178? Oh, and she can. So all 9 women have entered the competition and will be jumping at 178. In case you're wondering, the meeting record held by Italy's Elana Valatigara, 196. Came back in 2018. Whoa, 28.3 in Zoetermeer at the moment. And it's humid, it's sticky as well. And there's a breeze out there. It's, let's say diplomatically, challenging weather conditions. So, Britt Veerman. As I say, that bad knee injury that really set her back so much, that came 3 years ago. But she's on the comeback trail now. I was just looking at her social media account. She was celebrating having finished her degree, saying that she can now focus on high jumping. She'll need to focus very hard on her second attempt after a rather lacklustre first effort. Now, Bianca Stichling, first attempt, 178 for the German. Ooh. Clipped it with her heels, but a good effort. She's 174 tall, so she's jumping 4 centimetres above her own head height. Not the tallest of jumpers around. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to check down all the biographies, but I can see that Marta Marraro, who's coming up a bit later, is 1.88 metre tall. And I think Glenka Antonio is a little bit taller as well. But she did bring the bar down there. Well, it was a bit of an untidy effort at 174, and once again, doesn't really get the height and look committed. We've seen her jumping a lot better in the indoor season. Nevertheless, Antonia will have 2 more attempts at this height. Lola Picard, well, she needed 2 attempts to get over 70 and 74. What can she do at 178? Second attempt at 174 was a really nice effort. More of the same would help her enormously. And she wasn't that far away. Just clipped it off with her heels. Lola Picard's last couple of outings. 175, 176 in French meetings. She did go 181 in Athens at the end of May. So, Yaron Lenil. No, not this time. Didn't have the height. What I like about this competition, though, is that jumpers are really cracking on and the organisers are moving things along quickly. Keeps the crowd engaged and enthralled. And, well, it must be hot sitting there in the centre of the arena, but you do get a bird's eye view of what's going on. So, Lucille Jay brings the bar down as well. 3 women to go in this first round, and only Bianca Stichling over at the first time of asking. Tends to suggest that, well, just running the odds, that we might see a few women struggling at this height, perhaps going out. Christy Sneeman. Well, Sneeman has been consistently over 1.80 metre plus this year. And that demonstrates the form that she's in. A very nice clearance, the second woman to go clear at 1.78 metre. As I said, now currently based in Britain, where she's doing a master's in sports exercise and physiology. Nina Borger struggled a little bit at the earlier heights. Took off far too far away. That really just needs run-up adjustment. She did have very good height, but it was a high point in front of the bar, and she came down on it. So the last woman to take her first attempt at this height, Marta Morara, comfortably over. Well, after that glitch in Varazdin, looks as though she's back to the sort of form that saw her clear 190 in Brno just over 2 weeks ago. So we had 3 women clear: Stichling, Snyman and Morada. First of 6 women to take their second attempts, Britt Veerman. As I said, European Indoor silver medalist in 2023 and the European Under-20 champion 2 years before that. But not there. Didn't have the height with that jump. Just doesn't look committed. Turn the clock back. I can remember commentating on her competitions, and her approach was a lot quicker back in those days. I'm just wondering whether she's still, given her university studies, trying to get back to full fitness. Glenka Antonia. Antonia has moved up to be the Dutch #1, with Veerman sometimes on the sidelines over the course of the last few years. Moved her personal best up to 1.90 meters. So, Lola Picard. Now 25 years of age. Now she's cleared 181 outdoors this year, 185 indoors, so this should be well within her capabilities. Not that far away, though, but a third attempt is going to be required if she's going to stay in this competition. Coach there, just unpacking. As we look at Jeroen Linil. Not the quickest of run-ups, but it does serve her well. Gets herself in a good position and clears 178. And that is actually a season's best. A 2026 best for Linil. Lucille Zay. No. Once again, just took off a little bit too far away. Looked as though her run-up hasn't been entirely grooved in. Well, I said too far away. That was the front-on view. I think it was probably too close, actually. And there's no room for manoeuvre there. Nina Borger. She's got bags of height with her jumps, but the takeoff point has been a bit erratic. Quick in, nicely over. I think she knew she got that the moment she took off. Excellent height there. So 3 women to take third attempts at 178. And as you heard the infield announcer say, the Dutch national record holder at 196. Once upon a time, this would have been very straightforward for Veerman. But for all sorts of different reasons, the last couple of years have not been kind to her. Oh, what a pity. She disappears from the competition. Yeah. Wasn't quite there, just didn't have the height. So this is Lola Picard. Getting the crowd behind her. Good crowd here for this competition. Oh, she takes it. Yeah, she looked just a different athlete on that jump. She really did commit to it. And all the jigsaw puzzle pieces, as I like to say, probably a bit too often, fell into place for that jump. So, Lucille Jay. Well, the crowd very supportive of all these athletes. No, it was never there from about 6 strides out. Suddenly, she just slowed down. Started the run up well, just slowed down, and there just wasn't enough horizontal speed to convert into vertical lift. But we've still got 7 women in this competition, even though we've lost Britt Veerman and Lucille G. First woman to jump at 181 will be Bianca Stichling. The breeze, as you can see, is slightly quartering across them. Makes life a little bit difficult. It can knock you out of your stride. Stichling, well, she's quite experienced. She'll have faced conditions like this, I'm sure, in the past. She's been busy this year. This is actually her 10th competition of 2026 and goes nicely clear to retain her flawless record. Slight sigh of relief there from the German. So, Glenka Antonia. 2 Dutch women remaining. Antonia and Nina Borger. Antonia cleared personal best last year of 190 in Hengelo. Jump 188 indoors this year. Ooh, stuttered. Oh, she got away with it. I think she can consider herself to be very lucky. It wasn't a smooth run-up, but she did have the strength to get over it. Came down on the bar and clattered it, but it oscillated up and down and stayed on the stanchions. Well, the gods smiled on Glenka Antonia there. I wonder if they're going to smile on Lola Picard. Well, this would equal a 2026 outdoor best. She's 25 years of age now. No. Not this time, but 2 more attempts. So, Jeroen Linil. Went over a 2026 best of 178 at the previous height. Has a slow, sort of slightly prancing start to a run-up. No. So, well, the judges replace the bar. It'll be Christy Snyman who goes to a run-up. Also spent time in the United States, attended both Jacksonville University and the University of Missouri, Columbia. No, first failure for Schneemann. Had the height, it just wasn't quite right above the bar. Needed to bring her legs through quicker. Nina Borger. Well, she's creating a bit of a pattern though, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Apart from her opening height at 165, she's needed 2 attempts at the next 3 heights, and she'll need a second attempt at 181. So just Marta Morada to finish off the first round, the first attempts. Oh, nice jump from Morara. Member of the Aeronautica Militare Club, the aeronautic club in Italy. Quite a lot of athletes end up joining public institution clubs. The police club, the Carabinieri, very well-known club. Other clubs like the Military Forestry Service also have clubs. So, Lola Picard, second attempt. This would be a season's best for Picard. Season's outdoor best, I should say. Just for clarification, no, height wasn't there. In case you're wondering where Zoetermeer was, well, it's just to the west of the Dutch capital, The Hague. That's one of the reasons why it's also humid. We're not that far away from the Dutch coast. As we look at Jeroen Linil bring the bar down for a second attempt at 1.81 meters. Now, Christy Sneeman wasn't that far away with the first attempt. And she's been consistently clearing 180 plus. Indeed, she's only had one competition where she's... No, I should just correct myself. Every single competition this year has been 181 or better. She's the British University's indoor and outdoor champion. But, well, not happening at 181 for Sneeman. It's her first competition in 3 weeks. Nina Borger. Borger, when she gets it right, good clearances, but it is all a little bit erratic. It's all a little bit hit and miss. When it is a hit, she sails clear. She's got the talent without a doubt. But once again, bags of height. But technique, which I think really is more the run-up issue, let her down. Doesn't seem to have the very consistent run-up and perhaps not hitting her marks. But certainly the height is there for Borger as we now start the third attempts. So it's Lola Picard to go first, as we can see. Pacing around. 3 women clear at this height. Stichling, Antonia and Marara. His height is sorting them out a little bit. 4 women to take third and final attempts. So, Picard getting the crowd behind her, and they enthusiastically and willingly accede to her request. Yes! Picard's over, she gets it. Equals her outdoor season's best. 4 women clear at this height now. Coming from the same right-hand side of the apron. Jeroen Lenil. You just see Stichling pacing around, almost impatiently waiting for the bar to go up. Well, she'll have a chance very shortly in the red vest. Not to be confused with Sneeman, who's going to follow Linneal. But Linneal, it was never really there. Chopping on a runner. And wasn't in a position to get much height with her effort. So Linneal departs. Now, Christy Sneeman, as I said, she's been over in every single competition this year so far. 181 or better. So it's a 10th competition of the year. She knows how to get over this height. Did take 3 attempts to get over 181 in Essen at her last competition. Yes, it was just a little bit more steady, more controlled. And Sneeman gets over. Wasn't quite as rushed as the previous couple of attempts. So, Nina Borger, what can she do? This would be a season's best for Borger, if she can go clear. Has been over this height or better on 3 previous occasions in her career. Oh, yes! She claws her way over. Once again, we'll look at the side-on shot, I'm sure. Bags of height, just left her legs trailing. Just caught it with the back of her thighs, but Borger's over. Well, Picard, Sneeman and Borger needed 3 attempts to get over, but they join Stichling, Antonia and Marara, who all cleared on their first attempt, and the bar now goes up to 1.84 meters. Well, Stichling been jumping very well so far. Her and Marara, flawless so far. Stichling now jumping at a bar that's 10 centimetres over her own head height. She's a very dynamic competitor. Eighth in last year's World University Games, which I think would have been a bit of a disappointment because she was jumping so well last year in the high 180s. No. First time failure, and the first failure in the competition for Bianca Stichling. Just seemed a little bit slower on that run-up than her attempts at earlier heights. Sometimes it's a question of confidence. Realistically, that shouldn't be a problem, though. Had a good indoors when she was consistently over 184 and higher. Now, Glenka Antonia, she had a good indoor season as well. Last competition was 5 days ago in Barcelona when she went over 186, but she's failed at the first attempt at 184 here. Also competed at the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold meeting in Hengelo last month, where she finished fourth with 188. So last couple of competitions suggest that Antonia should be able to go clear at this height. Lola Picard, well, she made hard work of it, got over it on the third attempt at her previous height, 181. Yeah, she's quick. Well, it was all very hurried. She was certainly committed, but it was a little bit just too hurried. Oh, Christy Snyman. Looked very good at her earlier heights, then struggled a little bit at 181. Let's see if she can recapture some of the form, the South African. Was fourth at the World University Games last year, so she knows Stichling quite well. Brings the bar down at the first time of asking at 184. Bit of disappointment on her face. Speed with which this competition is going means that the athletes don't have a great deal of time to be able to review their jumps with their coaches. A few athletes do have their coaches out there. So, Nina Borger clatters into the bar. All horribly hurried from Nina Borger. Nobody clear with their first attempts at 184. Just Marta Marara to come. Now, Marara hasn't had a failure yet, the Italian. Appropriately dressed. All in blue. She's got the club colours on there of the Aeronautica Militar Club. So, She's watched 5 women bring the bar down. Marara has a chance to take the lead in this competition and does so. Nice jump from Marara. Clean effort from Marara. That really was a really good jump. Take this competition by the scruff of the neck. So the Italian remains flawless. Bianca Stichling, who was just sitting down, remaining composed. Well, and Stichling's over. Good effort from the German to join Marara clear at this height. Tickled the bar, but there was good height there without a doubt. And young children getting a high five, or rather a low five in this instance, from the athletes as they go past. It's become a little bit of a tradition at these specialist high jump competitions, as we see Glenka Antonia. Oof. She wasted no time whatsoever and just crashed through the bar. So Lola Picard, 181. Needed 3 attempts to get over both 178 and 181. Good height, though, from Picard. Now, Christy Snyman. Just preparing herself, going through the mirror. Almost like Yaroslava Huchik-like mental preparations. See quite a lot of jumpers go through their rhythmical routine, and a very good jump. After the problems she had at 181, that was without doubt the best jump of the competition she's produced. So Nina Borger, last to take her second attempt. Makes you wonder whether the cameraman's hiding behind that flower display. No, chopped her run up. Didn't hit her marks. Just sort of threw herself into the air. Didn't keep her shoulders vertical. So 3 women to take third attempt, starting with Glenka Antonia. There we go. Yes, she's coming from the left-hand side. Well, first attempt was very rushed by Converse. She's taking plenty of time on this occasion for a second attempt. Third attempt, I should say. Oh, and she gets over. Stuttering run up at times, but had the strength and the good technique. So Antonia makes it 4 women over this height. Very good competition. Last year's competition won by Meryl Mace of Belgium, 193. Maria Vukovic of Montenegro, 191. So those are the sort of heights that these women are going to be aiming for. Lola Picard, third attempt at 194.84. No, wasn't there. Disappointment on her face. But equalled her outdoor best. So decent performance from Lola Picard. Just for clarity, equalled her outdoor best in 2026. So, Nina Borger. Well, she's already got a season's best by going over 181. Can she improve further? No, not on this occasion. No doubt there'll be plenty more competitions against the likes of Glenca Antonia and Bit Veerman to come, though. So the bar, conveniently announced by the infield announcer. Bar goes up to 187. And we've got 4 women still in this good quality competition. Like to think a couple of these women will get over it and go on to attempt 1.90 m. Stitchling. Well, she's done better than last year when she finished down in 9th place with 182. Don't quite have the same depth as last year, but we could still reach some of the heights. So, first attempt at 1.87 m, and it'll be Bianca Stitchling. Oh. Had the height, just a bit ragged over the bar. Wasn't quite there technically. So Glenca Antonia, last of the Dutch home entrants in this women's competition. That's probably right. She is the Dutch woman in form at the moment. Her 5 national titles included the 2026 indoor title. Not a bad effort from Antonia. has an outdoor best this year, 188, which she also did indoors. She'll be really determined to clear this height because he'll give her a crack at equaling her personal best. So, Christy Sneeman. Good natured competition. You can see Stichling and Marara also clapping along. Pretty good effort from Schneemann. So the event leader, Marta Marara, clear at every single height. 5 heights, 5 clearances at the first time of asking so far. She's been jumping well. First attempt, 187 for Marara, almost. And for my money, possibly the best of the first attempts by the 4 women still in this competition. It was a good attempt from Marara. Worth bearing in mind, she's only cleared this height or better on 3 occasions in her career. But as I say, she did clear a personal best in Brno just over 2 weeks ago. So, Bianca Stichling. I just noticed that by complete coincidence, all 4 women have personal bests of 1.90 meters. Not 191, not 189, all 4 of them 190. So Bianca Stichling brings the bar down with her second attempt at 1.87 meters. A personal best of 190. First coming in 2022 and then equalled last year indoors. Now, Glenka Antonia. 190 came last year in Hengelo. Not at the FBK Games, but at a separate event on the famous Fanny Blankers-Kern track in Hengelo, which is on the other side of Holland from Zoetermeer, out on the east side of the country, not that far from the German border. So, Glenka Antonia, second attempt, 1.87 meters. Cameraman couldn't switch quickly enough, but there we go. Wasn't a bad attempt, though. Good effort from Antonia. Just took it down with the back of her thighs. Sneeman. Sneeman has been over this height or better no less than 6 occasions, and all of them have come in the last 18 months. Wasn't there. Decent attempt. Had her torso over and she knows she was close to it. The expression seconds after she bounced up off the foam mat told the story. Now, Marta Marara, as I said, I think she had the best of the first attempts. She went close. Oh, and once again, very close. She knows it. So all 4 women, third attempts. Morara leading the way at the moment, as she was flawless before this height. Second place, Stichling, whose only failure came at the previous height. She needed 2 attempts to get over 184. So this, a great chance for any of these women to grab the honours at this competition. Bianca Stichling, third attempt. No, chops a stride. It wasn't the smoothest of run-ups. I'm just wondering whether she had the confidence that she could actually get it. And of course, she has been over this height on a number of occasions in the past, but not today. Not in Zoetermeer. Now, Glenka Antonia. I'm looking back. I'm not sure in the international era there has actually been a Dutch woman who's won it. Of course, this started out as a essentially domestic competition with Dutch and Belgian jumpers back in the noughties, inaugurated in 2004. Oh, she was so close. Just clipped the bar off. So she's out of the competition. And the tension rises. Can Christy Schneemann keep an interest in this competition? Had a really good second attempt. And she has jumped higher than this year. Jumped 188 in the Greek meet in Hania back at the end of May. Has had some other good jumps as well that have been close to this. Good competitions. So it's not beyond question that she can get this height. No. Ah, well. Nice smile and a wave for the crowd for Christy Schneemann. Guaranteed third place on the podium on countback. But the places are decided. Stichling, the German, will be second. Now this woman, well, she's won the competition because she was flawless up to this point. So, clear or fail, she's going to be the winner here. Had an Italian winner, Asia Taverna, 2 years ago. Oh, a superb clearance from Marta Morara. Absolutely terrific clearance with daylight to spare at 1.87 meters. Well, she was close on her first 2 clearance attempts, but she absolutely nailed it at the third time of asking. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if she's asking for the bar. She's the only woman left in the competition to go up to a personal best height of 191. In Brno, back on the 25th of June, she cleared 190 and was jumping so well, but the bar then went up to 194, which was just a little bit beyond her capabilities. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if she can nail a personal best here. It doesn't require any special treatment. She can just theoretically pass what's on paper the next height and go for 191. Well, getting some input from the coach. Now, at the moment, she's just outside a qualifying position on ranking points for the European Athletics Championships. As I mentioned at the start of the competition, the Italians just have Ida Pieroni in a qualifying position, but she's racking up the points. Automatic qualifying height, 194. That's a bit of a tall ask perhaps today. But if she can have a couple of good competitions between now and the entry deadline, 28th of July, she might well be able to book a ticket to Birmingham. Has competed in the past for Italy and indeed finished third at the Mediterranean Games back in 2022, as well as 8th at the very first European Under-18 Championships back in 2016. And by coincidence, we are off to Italy next week for the latest edition of the European Athletics Under-18 Championships. They'll be coming to you from Rieti, that wonderful town just about an hour or so north of Rome, famous for plethora of world records, whole spate of middle distance world records back in the 1980s, and of course over a rather shorter distance, Asaf Powell set a world record there, about 20 years ago, over 100 metres. 9.72 the Jamaican ran on that occasion. Looking forward to that because every single minute of those championships will be on the European Athletics digital channels. Well, the scorecard is saying 189, but I'm just wondering whether she has had the bar put up to 191. She, of course, being the last athlete in the competition, can choose. So, Marta Marara. Whoa, very close. We just switched away there. I'm just trying to check on the infield scoreboard. I do believe it is 189. I'm a little surprised by that choice. Would have been a good opportunity to have a crack at 191 and perhaps improve a personal best. There you can see in the centre of your picture, wearing a blue t-shirt, the meeting organiser, Dowie Amels, co-holder of the men's meeting record here at 2:28, European indoor champion back in 2023. Took over as the meeting director last year. Second attempt at 189, and it's a good attempt from Marta Marara. Not that far away. So there you can see to her right and on the left-hand side of your picture, Glenka Antonia just reflecting on her competition, making a few notes. That's become almost de rigueur amongst the women high jumpers nowadays. Oh, and maybe it's an autograph or two. But Marta Marara, third attempt for Marara. I think her coach that she's talking to there is actually the famed German coach, Brigitte Kirschlagen, better known as Brigitte Holzapfel from her competitive days when she took European medals indoors and out. See more of her in the men's competition. She's the mentor to Folk Vendrich, who's competing. So Marata just taking her time. In fact, Kirschlagen, with a personal best of 195, has got a personal best better than any of the women jumpers jumping today. That personal best coming back in 1978, with the exception of Britt Veerman. So, third and final attempt for Marta Marara. Can the Italian do it? She's already got the competition won. The spotlight is on her. It's not quite as good as her previous two attempts. I think perhaps a little bit of the energy had drained. It's very warm out there, very breezy, and of course, with the competition just starting a little bit late, owing to a good under-20, under-23 competition. Yes, it is Brigitte Kirschlagen. So, Marta Marara wins, the only athlete over 187. Bianca Stichling takes second place from Christy Nyman, both women over 184 on countback, with Glenka Antonia being edged off the podium owing to failures earlier in the competition. So good quality competition that, very entertaining. The men's competition was due to get underway at 1700 Central European summertime. I think there's going to be a delay, probably of around 15 minutes. The men are going to get out there quickly and start their warm-up, get the run-ups grooved in. Well, I'd love to know what Marara and Stichling are saying to each other. I'm guessing they're both conversing in English. There we can see some of the jumpers coming in. The male jumpers. And the spectators just disappearing to one side, getting a well-earned break, going off for perhaps a water or coffee. It's humid and sticky out there, but it's not overly sunny. There's a lot of cloud cover. So we'll take a break from commentary. It's looking as though the competition will start after the presentation in about 30 minutes' time. First, though, we'll have the women's medal ceremony. All the women get to gather around the 3 blocks. So there you just see Zoetermeer Ivanov just marking out his runner, one of the top Bulgarian jumpers of all time, 2:31 man at best. Just wondering whether they're having to round up a couple of the jumpers who might have disappeared. Perhaps some of the jumpers who went out in the earlier part of the competition. There's Ivanov. Once upon a time, notable for a well-coiffured, bushy haircut. Decided to trim it back a few years ago. He's one of the first men out. On the World University Games once upon a time. And there you can see the presentation about to get underway for the medalists in this Klaverblad International High Jump competition. But everybody gets a little prize. There you go. The presenter will be Jeroen Bevurts, president of the local athletics club, the ARV Ilion Athletics Club. Lucia Jai. There's Britt Veerman, looking a bit disappointing with her performance. But nevertheless, getting back to some sort of form. And as I said, she was happily discussing the fact that she completed her university degree. So now she can focus on her high jumping. There's the Belgian, Joran Lineel. Got over a season's best of 178. Followed by Lola Picard, who equalled her season's outdoor best of 181. Here's Nina Borger. I have to say, I think there's so much more to come from Borger. She's got lots of talent, but her technique is, I think I referred to it as erratic, and I think that's fair comment. Glenka Antonia. I'm sure we'll see lots more of Glenka Antonia on European Athletics live streams, and she is qualified for Birmingham for the European Athletics Championships. The British-based Christy Sneeman, well, she gets to climb the podium. Finished in third place on countback with 184, having got over the deciding height at the second time of asking. And second goes to Germany's Bianca Stichling. She's already got her beach shoes on. That didn't take long. She got over 184 as well. Also on the second attempt, like Schneemann, but had no failures earlier in the competition. So gets the decision on countback. But the only woman over 187, clear winner in this competition. And went very close with two of her attempts at 189. Italy's Marta Marara. And a nice trophy. I wonder if she has to return it every year. Gets to keep it permanently. And the biggest bunch of flowers, of course, does go to the winner. And everybody gets together now for the traditional group photo. That's always good fun. And at the end of your career, you look back on moments like this when you went to competitions and however they finished, a great experience. So the men, yes, a large group of them now, getting out there, just to start marking out their run-ups. So while the men are just warming up and getting their run-ups marked out and having a few practice jumps, we'll take a break from commentary for about 20 minutes. Well, it looks like we're getting ready for the men's athletes presentation. Welcome back to the 22nd edition of the Klaverblad International High Jump competition. We had a good women's competition won by Italy's Marta Marara at 1.87 meters. And looking forward to this particularly strong men's competition. Now you can see the 12 men. Perhaps two men particularly to pick out. Volt Vendrich at the top, the German. Former World Under-20 Championship silver medalist back in 2012. And the Jamaican, the penultimate name in that list, Romain Beckford. 2024 Olympic finalist and very much a man on the up as far as the high jump is concerned. Personal best of 2:29. Three men have personal bests of 2:30 or more. And I should have said, sorry, I'm doing Beckford a disservice. He does have a personal best of 2.30 meters. He's one of that trio of men with personal bests over 2:30. Also interested to see the Algerian Younis Ayachi. He's really come through this year. Still only 18 years of age. And he's third on the African under-20 list. Cleared 2:28 indoors. Doesn't have a great deal of experience, but he's a huge talent. So the men just getting marshalled in the shaded area under the pergolas at the top of this arena. Well, we're in the ARV Ilion Arena in the Van Tool Park in Zoetermeer. Now, if you're wondering where Zoetermeer is, I mentioned at the start of the women's competition. I'll mention it again. It's just to the east of The Hague, the Dutch capital, right over in the west of the country. I was reading before we came on air that once upon a time, back in the late 60s, it was a suburb of The Hague and it only had about 6,000 people at the time. Now it's significantly larger than that, and it's a city in its own right. This competition, well, it's been on the books since 2004. It was inspired by the specialist high jump competitions taking place over in the border in Germany. It was founded by Jan-Peter Larsen, who was a 2:25 jumper, and his coach Rini van Leuven. And they've turned it into a real success story in terms of Dutch athletics. Douwe Amels has taken over as the meet director. Amels, the European indoor champion from 2023, retired after the European Championships last year. Still very much involved in the sport, particularly his specialist event, high jumping. So, there you go, we're ready to go. Smiling away, Edgar Ribera. Mexican record holder with 2:31. Fourth in the World Championships in 2017. And 7-time Mexican champion. Well, I mentioned this man, Volt Vendrich, has had problems with injuries over the years, but he's still competing really well at the age of 31. World University Games champion in 2017. Following him, Jeff Vermeulen, two-time Belgian champion, adopting an innovative approach. And Captain Cam, Singapore. He was a top-class American collegiate athlete while he was at the University of Pennsylvania. Charlie Husbands equalled his personal best indoors and out this year of 2 meters 21. This would be a great occasion for perhaps to go higher. Second Briton in this field. With the best of 2:19, Akin Coward competes with the London-based Shaftesbury Barnet Harriers. Was 9th last year, but only jumped 2:05 on that occasion, so Coward looking to do better here this year. Here's the reigning Dutch indoor champion, Vuelverlicht. And a Dutch winner in the under-20, under-23 competition, with Richard Punt clearing 2:14 a little bit earlier. From Cyprus, Yannis Aniadis, based in the Netherlands during the summer. Two-time national champion Aniadis. This man followed Vendrich as the World University Games champion in 2019, Timur Ivanov. Made a lot of major championship finals, although always seems to see medals escape his grasp. Yin van der Lee. Well, van der Lee took the bronze at last year's European Under-20 Championships in Tampere in Finland. Romain Beckford, another Olympic finalist from Paris, and a double American collegiate champion indoors and out. And completing the lineup, the very tall figure of the reigning African champion, Younis Ayachi from Algeria. Well, they're all tall men. I think Ayachi might be the tallest of the lot, though. Ayachi on the right-hand side of your picture with the baseball cap turned around. Well, there's quite a few men at 195 and maybe a shade taller. Incredibly, Ayachi at the age of 18, I think, still has a little bit of growing to go. So the opening height will be 2 meters. I doubt many of the men will take it. A few, like the Dutch pair, perhaps. Just getting ready now. So it looks like Captain Cam of Singapore will take this height. And he's comfortably over, as one would expect from a 225 man. Shouldn't have had any problems with that. Cam finished 12th at the last Commonwealth Games, but we'll be looking to do a lot better in a few weeks' time in Glasgow. Could be in contention for Singapore's first ever athletics medal at those championships. Now, Charlie Husbands, well, took that very seriously for an opening height of 2 meters. No messing around and sails through the air. Perhaps just continuing an extension of his warm-up. Husbands competes for the Birchfield Harriers Club in the Midlands And of course, the European Athletics Championships next month will be on his home track in the Alexander Stadium. So this is the Dutchman, Verlicht. Personal best of 2:13, but winning the Dutch indoor title got him a place in this competition. Nicely done from the Rotterdam Athletic Club man. Yannis Ananiadis. Long run up from the left-hand side of the apron. No. Oh dear, took off too far away, the Cypriot. That's best of 2:13, but he's based in the Netherlands a lot of the time. Yin van der Lee cleared a personal best of 2:16 to take that bronze medal in that very good competition in Tampere last year. No problems for van der Lee. Younis Ayachi. Slightly surprised to see him take this opening height. As I say, just a bit, perhaps just feeling as though he needs just a few more warm-up jumps. No problems at all. Took the African title in Accra back in the middle of May with a 2:22 clearance. So it's Ananiadis, the Cypriot, the only man to fail at 2 meters. No, it's not happening. Take off it too far away from the bar. So third and final attempt for the Cypriot. Did compete here last year and he finished 11th in that competition. Just cleared 2 meters, which is the bar he's attempting here at the moment. And quite rightly adjusting his run-up. I'm sure he was given that advice. Quite wise advice it was too after those first 2 rather lacklustre attempts at 2 meters. He needs to hurry up. They do like to hurry them along here in this competition, and that's one of the things I like about it. Best of 2:13 coming back in 2024. This is for went back to Nicosia and only finished 3rd in the Cypriot National Championships. Although he is a 2-time winner of them. So, Ananiadis. 3rd and final attempt for Ananiadis, and he brings it down. So, departs without clearing a height. Sporting applause from the audience in Zoetermeer. bar will quickly go up to 205. Might see a few more people coming in. Possibly the likes of Vermeeren and Coward. Meeting record, 2 meters 28, held by Gianmarco Tamberi, which he cleared in 2:14 before going on to European and then Olympic titles, and equalled by Dawi Amels in 2019. Amels, of course, as I mentioned, the meeting director now, and indeed Edgar Rivera, the Mexican, now 35 years of age. Great record. And his brother comes from a fantastic athletics family. His brother Luis Rivera, bronze medalist in the 2013 World Championships in the long jump. 8:46 long jumper at best. No problems for Rivera. His older brothers Jorge and Adrian, also very good athletes as well. So, Falk Vendrich. Vendrich, well, I was talking about his injuries. He had Achilles tendon problems last year, back in 2024. Missed the whole of the outdoor season due to cruciate ligament surgery. It looked good indoors. We saw him at a couple of the events that were shown on the European Athletics digital channels, and looks as though he's slowly coming back to form. Now, Campton come comfortably over. No problems for the Singapore athletes. And in truth, there shouldn't really be any problems for many or any of these athletes. Did tickle the bar. It was a bit lazy. So husbands, last outing was last weekend when he won the English Championships at 2:14. Oh. Not quite sure. Bags of height, but didn't hit his marks. You can't take off that far away and get away with it. Or at least you can't very often. So, fellow Briton, Akin Coward coming in. Coward. Digital marketing consultant by day. High jumper at weekends. And also in evenings, presumably, when he gets into the gym or on the track to train. Comfortable clearance at 2:05. Now, Buell Verlicht. Verlicht, now 26 years of age. Did go to the World Junior Championships back in World Under-18 Championships back in 2017 and finished 6th there. Hasn't had any major internationals as a senior though. Tickled the bar once again, 2:05 for Verlicht. Next up, Timur Ivanov. Well, it's starting to blow a little bit. Perhaps the wind's getting even stronger than it was during the women's competition. Ivanov. Over the years, we've seen him jumping quite frequently in European athletics live streams and also at the many, many championships. Oh, what was that about? Come on, Zoetermeer. Well, he's qualified for what would be his 5th European Championships coming up next month. He's also been to 3 Olympic Games and 4 World Championships. Ivanov, Jin van der Lee. Hasn't been to any of those yet, but as I say, he did get a bronze medal last summer at the European Under-20s. Oh, a bit like husbands, bags of height. Took off too far away from the bar. Clips it off. Also dropped his shoulder slightly, led in with his arm, as you could see on the replay. So, Younis Ayachi, Algerian talent. No problems for him. Ayachi, with his 228 clearance, 3rd on the African Under-20 list. And he's only just turned 18. He's got another year in the Under-20 ranks and equals 7th on the African list. So, husbands. Wonder if he's adjusted his run-up. Oh, yes. No problems this time. Spotted his marks and sails clear. Not taking any prisoners, husbands. He's really putting a lot of effort into these early heights. Ivanov never got off the ground with the previous effort. Wasn't so much a bad jump, it just wasn't a jump. Let's see if he can turn things around. Well, still tickles the bar with his heels. I'm wondering if he's struggling with perhaps a slight injury or some other problem. Nevertheless, he is over. And Jin van der Lee. Van der Lee. It's a 1st of January birthday, so turn 20. So he was absolutely the oldest, as you can work out, at the European Under-20 Championships last year in Tampere. Just couldn't get off the ground there. That wasn't even as good as his first attempt. So that's a disappointment. You're just going to have to dig deep and make an effort. Van der Lee. Cleared 2:10. That's his 2026 best in Leiden at the end of May. But then no heighted when he went over the border to Nivelles for a meet a few weeks ago in Belgium. Discussions going on. So Van der Lee walks back to his marks, the only man to need a 3rd attempt at this height. Still Jeff Vermeeren and Romain Beckford to come into the competition. So just trying to focus and concentrate. European Under-20 medal winner from last year. Ooh, took off a long way away, clipped the bar, but it stays on. He got away with it. So the bar going up to 210. As we look at Jin Mandalier, competes for the PAC club in Rotterdam, Vanderlee. Probably be looking at next year's European Under-23 Championships, which are going to be in Bydgoszcz in Poland, as the next feasible big championships for him. Judges just making sure the height is absolutely correct. And a big shout out to the judges working on this competition. So it'll be Edgar Ribera, the first to jump. As I said, 7-time national champion. His international career goes back almost 2 decades. First made an appearance in a Mexican vest back in 2007 when he finished 5th at what was then the 2007 World Under-18 Championships. Oh, good jump there from Rivera. No problems at all. Had to put a bit of effort in, but almost somersaults when he clears the bar. Has a habit of landing very high on his neck. Now, Volt Vendrich. Vendrich. Did win German title a few years ago. Nicely over for Vendrich. He does actually have a qualifier for the European Championships. Went over 2:28 last year, which booked his ticket to Birmingham. That's over the automatic qualifying height and within the qualifying period. 2:27, the automatic qualifier. This man, Jeff Vermeeren, doesn't have it, but he's not far. 2:26. Cleared a lifetime best last year in Weinheim. Well, tickled the bar, but good effort nevertheless. Campton Cam, as we tick over the jumpers. Cam, one of the few jumpers coming from the left-hand side of the apron. No. Never really got into the air. Bit of a lackluster jump. Jumped his 2:25 national record last year in Tampa in Florida. Best this year, 2:18 indoors. So, shouldn't have problems with this height. Now, Charlie Husbands has been putting a lot of effort into his early heights. Been flying clear, to be fair. Determined look on the Briton's face. Once again, just clips it off despite having quite a bit of daylight. So, hacking coward. Coward. It's cleared 215 this year. Sails over 210. Nice jumping from the Briton. Did compete here last year and he finished 9th. He's done better than he did last year because he's cleared 210 compared to 205 12 months ago. So, view overlooked. Personal best of 213, coming back in May. And he cleared that height in Tilburg. Oh, good jump there. So he'll be happy with that. That's one of his best jumps of his life. It's only cleared 210 or better on 4 previous occasions. And, well, Zoetermeer Ivanov taken off his long training bottoms. Ivanov, 1.98 m tall. And he's over 210. But there just isn't a great deal of zip. No, that's not a very scientific term. But Ivanov, dare I say, it just looks a bit tired. So, Jin van der Lee needed 3 attempts to get over the previous height of 205. What can the Dutchman do here? Well, had the height but came down on the bar. Now we have first sight of Romain Beckford. Beckford, 24 years of age, 189 tall, so slightly dwarfed by some of the really tall men in this competition, but a huge talent. Made the final of the last World Championships in Tokyo, but then crashed out without clearing a height. Comfortably over 210. Been consistently over 220 or better this year. And Beckford taking the Jamaican title in June. So Ayachi. Oh, once again, a very comfortable clearance from Ayachi. He's not really having to work too hard at this stage. He is a talent, there's no doubt about it. Second on the Algerian all-time list. But the man in front of him is the former African record holder and Olympic bronze medalist, Abdurrahim Hamad. So, Captain Cam. His last competition was the NCAA Championships, where he finished down in 16th with a 2:11 clearance. Just wondering whether he might be just a bit jet-lagged. Charlie Husbands. Well, needed 2 attempts to get over 2:05, but comfortably over when everything fell into place. Oh, just taking off far too far away from the bar. And hammers the bar pretty strongly. Almost tips over the stanchions as well. So, Husbands will also need a 3rd attempt along with Cam. Now, Jim van der Lee. Needed 3 attempts to get over 2:05. Didn't realistically look like he was going to get over 2:10 with his first attempt. Needs to change that impression. No, very much more of the same compared to his first jump. Almost a carbon copy. So van der Lee gets some input from his coach on the sidelines. I think that might be Sergio van der Meerde. That's the man who's listed as his coach. Well, we're looking around for Captain Cam. He's on the other side of the apron. That's Husbands. But it should be Cam going first. No, I'm seeing that Cam has retired. Clearly feeling out of sorts. Try and get himself in shape for the Commonwealth Games coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Now Charlie Husbands. Oh, what a pity. The height was there. It was a bit technically erratic, though. Well, that'll give his coach some food for thought. The talent's there, the technique isn't. So, Jim van der Lee, the 3rd of 3 men, taking their 3rd attempts at this height. Van der Lee, naturally, getting a lot of support from the home crowd. No. 3 fairly similar efforts at 2:10, and each time bringing the bar down. Nevertheless, a prospect for the future. We saw that in Tampere as he jumped 2:16 to clinch a place on the podium. And still only 20 years of age. So the bar now goes up to 2:14. Eight men left in the competition. It's been going roughly half an hour. And the first man will be Edgar Rivera, who appropriately is at the top of the list on the left-hand side of your screen. So Ribera comfortably over 210 at the first time of asking. It's not a modest season by his standards. He's jumped 215 in his last couple of outings in Ostrava and a pole. Season's best of 217 from a Polish meeting at the end of May. His national record of 231 I should say, coming 5 years ago now in Samarin in Slovakia. Well, gets himself over it, clips the heel, but a big smile from Ribera. Ribera, well, he was second at this meeting back in 2019 behind Douwe Amels when he cleared that meeting record of 228. Volt Vendrich, he was second last year. Vendrich cleared 221 last year, lost on count back to the Lithuanian Dvoržaspaiskis. No, didn't have the lift there. Well, Vendrich's international career goes back more than a decade. The World Under-20 silver medalist back in 2022 when he was only 17 years of age. Still eligible for the following World Under-20 Championships, but finished out of the medals in 2014. So, Jeff Vermeeren. As befits athletes from neighbouring Belgium, also getting quite a bit of applause, but brings the bar down at the first time of asking at 214. Hacking Coward had a good clearance at 210, the Londoner. Getting ready. No lift there. Vuelverliet. Well, this would be a personal best for the Dutchman if he can get this height. So far, a clean sheet up to and including 210. Well, has had no less than 3 personal bests this year. Indoors in March, 211, 212 in early May, and then 213 late May. Can he make it 4 personal bests? Not that far away. So far, 5 men having jumped at this height. Only Ribera over. It's the turn of Timur Ivanov. Ivanov, as we've seen, struggling a little bit. So Ivanov looking to turn things around after some slightly lacklustre jumping at the earlier heights. See the next man getting ready. Romain Beckford, just behind Ivanov. No. Just clips it. Doesn't look as though he's got the same sort of speed that we've seen in his run-up in times gone past. Well, this height causing a few problems for the jumpers. And as you can see, compared to the women's event, the wind is quite strong. It's picked up. Now, Romain Beckford sailed clear at 2:10. No real surprise for the Jamaican. And he makes it 2 over, joins Edgar Ribera with first-time clearances at this height. The man who's equal second on the Jamaican all-time list. Jumped 2:30 when he finished second in the 2020-14 Diamond League meeting in Rome. Perfect conditions on that day. Now, Yunis Ayachi. Powers into the bar. Oh! Had the height, but he did take off a long, long way away and clips the bar off. I thought he was going to get away with it for a moment. So, just 2 men over. Ribera and Beckford. I do expect a few more to join them, though. Paul Vendrich. Vendrich finished second last year, second in 2020 as well, and fourth back in 2019. So he knows the way to Zoetermeer, no doubt at all about that. Yes, he's over, and that'll be a confidence boost for him. 2:14 shouldn't be a problem for many of those men who brought the bar down at that height with their first attempts, including Vendrich. And Vendrich now makes it 3 over this height. Jeff Vermeeren. Well, Vermeeren cleared 2:16 in Nivelles back in June. Hop and a skip to start his run-up, but there was no jump there at the end of it. So, next up will be Akin Coward. Good jump at 2:10, but then all rather fell apart at 2:15. 2:14, I should say. That was a better jump than his first one, but still brings the bar down. Clips it off with his backside. So, Vulverlicht for a personal best for the Dutchman. Just focusing and concentrating. In terms of the personal best, the equal worst, if it's fair to say that, amongst the field, along with Ananiadis. Ooh, it was almost there, and he knows it. It was a pretty good jump from Vuverlicht. Yeah, he's frustrated, but he's got one more attempt. And I wouldn't be surprised if he manages to channel that frustration and gets 2:14. Have to wait and see. So only Vendrich adding his name to the very small list of two men who cleared this height on the first attempts, Ribiera and Beckford. Now, Timur Ivanov. Given all his experience and talent, he really should go clear at this. So Ivanov gets it nicely at the second attempt. Left his legs trailing a little bit and clipped it, but that was good enough to get him over and make him fall over this height. And Yunus Ayachi, well, he's been having some soaring clearances at the earlier heights, and he is a 2:28 man. And put pretty decent money on the fact that he's going to clear this height with his next jump, because first attempt was just a little bit sloppy. He's accelerating, and thank you. He delivers on my prediction. That's much appreciated. Not quite the daylight between the bar and his torso that I was expecting. Nevertheless, a clean clearance. So, 5 men clear, 3 men to take third attempts. Starting with Jeff Vermeeren, two-time Belgian champion. .188 tools, so this is 26 centimetres above his head height. And he makes it. Gets it right. Took him 3 attempts. That was a good jump, though. There's plenty more there with that jump. Now, that's a template for Akin Gower to follow. So, Coward, third and final attempt at this height. Powering in. No, just chops his stride, stutter steps before taking off. So, Coward eliminated. In case you're wondering, the next height will be 218. But we've still got full Verlicht to go. The very last man to take an attempt at this height. This would be a personal best for Verlicht if he can go clear. I can tell you, the crowd are urging him on. Took the Dutch indoor title. That was his first. No. I was going to say the first national title. No, he's got one before that. He's really concentrating. He's putting all his mental energy into this. No, not quite as good as his second attempt. That second attempt was close. Third attempt, less so. So, Verlicht leaves the stage in Zoetermeer. So, 6 men left in the competition. You can see the breakdown there. Ribeiro and Beckford, both men over all their heights at the first time of asking. Ayachi, Vendrich, just one failure. at 2:14. They're in equal third. Ivanov and Vermeeren also over 2:14. That's how it looks at the moment. So we've had half the field eliminated. 6 men still to contest this really good Klaverblad international high jump competition. Well, this will be a season's best for Rivera. Kept a low profile, didn't compete indoors. Of course, he's cleared this height many, many times during the course of his career. Usurped slightly as the Mexican #1 by Eric Portillo, who got a slightly surprising World Indoor Championships silver back in the indoor season in March in Torun. Portillo clearing 2:30 to equal Rivera's Mexican indoor best. Oh, the height was there, but it wasn't terribly well coordinated at the top of the jump. So you just see that again. Tries to curl his way around the bar. Of course, a lot of it is instinct and a lot of it is muscle memory to suggest that he was rationally trying to curl his way around the bar. Means that the thought processes were a lot quicker than usually is the case when you're actually jumping out there. So Falk Vendrich competes as he's done throughout his career for the LAZ Surst Club. As I say, coached by Brigitte Kirschlagen. No. So he fails as well. There we see Vendrich going over to talk to Kirschlagen. Now, Jeff Vermeeren. Rather pronounced stepping movement in the early part of his run-up. Lies third on the Belgian all-time list with his 2:27 best, which came indoors back in 2022. It's cleared 2:26 outdoors though. So nobody over yet. Can Timur Ivanov take control of this competition? Hasn't been jumping well in the early heights, but Ivanov, very experienced competitor. He's been there and done that, as I said. 3 Olympic Games, 4 World Championships, 4 European Championships, coming up for a 5th next month in Birmingham. No less than 6 European Indoor Championships. One major title came back in 2019, the World University Games title. No. It's not there, just didn't have the height. So Romain Beckford. Nobody over this height just yet. Beckford. As I said, took the Jamaican title 3 weeks ago in Kingston when he cleared 2:25. It shouldn't be a problem for him, and it doesn't prove to be. First man clear, Romain Beckford, and a big clearance at 2:18. Just wondering whether he's got it in him to challenge that venerable meeting record of 2:28 set by Jean-Marco Tamberi and Dewey Amels. Now, Younis Ayachi. Tall, lanky Algerian, 1.96 m. Just 18 years of age. Oh, but the high was there. That wasn't a bad attempt. Just a little bit ragged. Won the Algerian junior title with a 2:20 clearance during the week. So has come here quickly from his home country. I'm just wondering whether he might just be a bit tired with the travelling. Edgar Ribera, he's been based in Zurich in Switzerland this summer. Previously, was based in Germany. So Ribera, only one man over, Romain Beckford. So, Edgar Ribera, second 7 years ago in this competition, had the height, but he was a little bit uncoordinated, couldn't bring his legs through quick enough. So caught it with his backside as well. So, second attempt for Falk Vendrich. Vendrich attacking, looking very focused, and he's over. German nails it at 2:18 with his second attempt. Sometimes in the run-up, you just get a sense of how things are going to go. And I must confess, just looking at his face and the first few strides, I just thought that it was distinctly possible he would go clear. He was absolutely determined, Vendrich. Still maybe not quite 100% fit. Had Achilles problems last year. Once he can be 100% fit, Vendrich is a talent. He's struggled at times over the years. So, Jeff Vermeerden brings the bar down. Second attempt for Vermeerden, so he has one left. Now, Timur Ivanov. Knows what he needs to do. Two men over. Can the Bulgarian make it three? No. Just lost concentration. Because he broke the plane of the bar, that's a foul. Just to give you a rundown of the European and world rankings, the world list led by Oleg Doroshuk, the Ukrainian, who jumped 2:33 last month on home soil in Berdichev. Jan Steffler, last year's world Championships bronze medalist, clearing 2:32 indoors. He's directly behind him. As we look at Eunice Ayachi, flying clear, touches the bar just ever so slightly, catches it with his heels, but huge clearance otherwise. And behind Doroshuk and Steffler, Kimani Jack, 2:31. He's equal third. So Europeans dominating this year's world list, so it's going to be a fascinating competition when we get to the European Athletics Championships. Doroshuk, Steffler, very experienced. Kimani Jack having a breakthrough year, clearing 2:31 and winning the NCAA title as well. And cleared 2:30 in the Monaco Diamond League meeting on Friday night as well, just to confirm. No flash in the pan, the Briton. Now, Edgar Ribera. Third attempt for the Mexican. It's do or die time. Went close with his second attempt, but it's not to be with his third attempt. So Ribera can't replicate his second place from 7 years ago. The three-time Ibero-American champion bows out with a best of 2:14. It's difficult conditions out there, and if you were listening to the women's winner, Marta Morada, talk, well, the men were warming up. She was saying that gusting breeze, it's quite strong out there. It is cutting across them. So, Jeff Vermeeren. Cleared 2:24 indoors. Hasn't gone higher than 2:16 outdoors so far this year. No. Well, Vermeeren finished second in 2023 and 2022. Equalled third last year, but he's going to finish a little bit further down this year. So the very last man to take a third and final attempt. Tiamor Ivanov. Well, I think Ivanov's decided to pass and take his third attempt at the next height of 2:21. That's quite a good tactic. Just put everything into that third attempt. So, leading the way, Romain Beckford. Flawless record up to and including 2:18. Second, Younis Ayachi, a very talented teenage Algerian, had second attempts to clear the heights of 2:14 and 2:18. And Volt Vendrich as well, equals second as well. Same as Ayachi, needed two attempts at both 2:14 and 2:18. And into the bargain, Ivanov to take a third and final attempt at 2:21. So the first man to go will be Volt Vendrich. And sultry conditions in Zoetermeer, but the crowd, both the dignitaries in the centre and the crowds lining both sides of this ARV Ilion Arena, really enjoying this competition. So, cleared 2:21 last year for second place. Only needed 2:16 back in 2020 to get second place on that occasion. And Volt Vendrich at the moment in second place here. No. I was saying sometimes you can feel that a high jumper's got it within him. And on this occasion, I certainly didn't feel it. You looked at him, and it looked as though he was just not confident and committed from about 4 strides out. Vendrich, 2 further attempts, but it's do-or-die time for Tiamor Ivanov. He's pulled it out of the bag on many occasions in the past. And he's asked for the music to be turned off. Just focusing and concentrating. It's best of 2:31. Coming in qualifying at the World Championships in London back in 2017. No, it really wasn't there from start to finish. But Timur Ivanov remains a very popular participant in these specialist high jump competitions that proliferate now around Europe. Consoling tap on the shoulder from Falk Vendrich. They know each other very well. Competed against each other many times over the years. Perhaps they're a little bit less familiar with Romain Beckford, but they will have certainly know what he's capable of, having watched him in recent times. Now, Beckford, only man without a failure to his name so far in this competition. He's attacking it. Oh! Got over that on grit and determination. Seemed to just slow down a little bit beforehand. But such a talent. And in the end going well clear. So now, how can the Algerian teenager Younis Ayachi respond to that? Well, he's been over this height. Oh, I was going to say on many occasions in the past, and that was an outstanding jump from the Algerian. We now know that he can respond to a little bit of pressure. If he can stay injury-free, he really is going to be a talent when it gets to major outdoor championships. He's already been to the World Indoor Championships, finished 9th with a 2:22 clearance. But still another year in the junior ranks for Ayachi. So, Falk Vendrich. 2 men clear. Vendrich has 2 further attempts, and I think he's decided to pass further up. Yes. I can look at my monitor and see that he's going to take his remaining attempts at 2:24. So it'll be 3 men attempting 2:24. Beckford and Ayachi, who, as you can see on your screen, have already gone over 2:21. Vendrich, 1 failure at 2:21. He's assured of a place on the podium, but wants to move up from the bronze medal position. Well, this competition just been going on for just over an hour, but starting to move steadily towards a conclusion. So Vendrich, those high supports to try and protect his Achilles. Almost looks like he's wearing scuba diving shoes. I can assure you they are high jump spikes. Seen a few other competitors wearing them, notably Mutazesha Barshim. So, first attempt at 2:24 meters. The infield announcer asking the crowd to put their hands together for Falk Vendrich. No. So, first attempt at this height, but second consecutive failure. 1 more jump to come. Hasn't been to a major senior outdoor championships, went to a lot of age group championships. Not really counting the World University Games in amongst that number, which is a bit unfair because he did win that World University Games back in 2017. Now Romain Beckford. He's looked so good throughout this competition. He's in first place at the moment. You can see there, looks like a set of bullet holes. 210, 214, 218, 221 and almost 224. First failure of the afternoon for Romain Beckford, but he wasn't that far away. So now that opens the door to Younis Ayachi. Can Ayachi go clear at 224? Well, Ayachi, this would be an outdoor best for the Algerian if he can go clear. No, he just stuttered. He just slowed down about 2 strides out. And I think he knows it. Has gone over 228 indoors. Has had a couple of competitions higher than this indoors, but has never jumped this high outdoors. Best outdoors was a 222, which he found to clear in Accra and win the African title. So, Folk Vendrich. This is his last attempt at this height. Doesn't have a third attempt because he had one failure at 221. Well, the crowd don't need much encouragement. They've really been very supportive of the jumpers. Nobody over 224 so far. Beckford definitely the closest. Vendrich, can he dig deep? This would be a season's best for Vendrich. No. Just didn't seem to be fully confident he could get it on a day like today. But he's a seasoned competitor, and we will see him again probably in Birmingham. Has qualified on the basis of last year's performances. Goes over to have a chat with his coach, Birgitta Kirschlagen, who's also helped a number of other jumpers here today, notably Marta Marala, the women's winner. Now, Romain Beckford, just making a slight adjustment to his run-up. Very canny. Just focusing, concentrating. He wasn't that far away with his first attempt. No, that wasn't as good as his first attempt. That was a much slower approach, much more deliberate. I was looking for him to improve on what he did with his first attempt, but that wasn't to be. But he's still in first place at the moment. But now it's a bit like a penalty shootout. Younis Ayachi can put his nose in front if he can go clear at this height with this attempt. So Ayachi for an outdoor personal best. Oh, this looks a lot better. Oh, almost. Ayachi just clipping it off with his heels. That was a really good effort. He just looked that so much more determined and confident compared to his first attempt. I'm looking forward, regardless of how his third attempt goes, to seeing a lot more of this young man. And I think there'll be quite a few invitations coming his way from meet directors once they see this performance. Of course, domestic performances in Algeria might well have just travelled a little bit under the radar, but they'll be paying attention to this. But now, Romain Beckford. First attempt was pretty good. Second attempt, not so. Third and final attempt, 2:24 for the Jamaican. No, it was never there. It just seemed to slip and dip down. Nice crowd-pleasing acrobatic backflip. It may well be good enough to win, but Younis Ayarchi has one more attempt and went very close with his second attempt. Beckford at the moment in first place, thanks to clearing everything up to and including 2:21 at the first time of asking. So Younis Ayarchi, he knows that victory will be his if he can go clear. Into the bargain, an outdoor best. 18 years of age. I think he'll be going to the World Under-20 Championships next month as the favourite for the high jump. These are not ideal conditions, and he's been jumping very well. Third and final attempt, 2:24. Younis Ayarchi. Oh, and it wasn't that far away either, but he'll have to settle for second. Great performance from Ayarchi, but failures earlier in the competition means that the honours go to Romain Beckford of Jamaica. Beckford, 2:21, flawless up to that height, and he takes first place. Younis Ayarchi also over 2:21, but at the had two failures at both 2014 and 2018. Got over those two heights at his second attempt, and that means on count back, the Algerian finishes second. Volt Vendrich at 2:18, the leading European. That's the 1, 2, 3. And they're going to bring out the podium very shortly. But as you've seen, everybody gets a prize. Confirmation of the final results. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can also get the full results via the European Athletics website. Just scroll down to the section entitled One-Day Meetings, and there's a link to the full results there, which you can look at in granular detail. Well, just got the medal presentation to come, but if you're enjoying this European Athletics live stream, well, next week, between the 16th and the 19th, we have the European Athletics Under-18 Championships coming to you from Rieti. 4 days of action, showcasing the top under-18 talent. And over the years, well, it's really provided a crystal ball into the future. This is the 5th edition coming up, and we've had memorable winners at all the previous 4 editions. 2018 was particularly notable in your likes of Keely Hodgkinson and Yaroslava Mahuchik winning there. You can go through the list of winners. There's a lot of familiar names. And then coming up next month, between the 10th to the 16th of August in Birmingham. And you've seen a few adverts for it during the course of these live streams. And there's still some tickets available, not that many. The European Athletics Championships in Birmingham, Britain's second city. And that'd be a really good affair at the famous Alexandra Stadium. 7 days of athletics action from the 10th to the 16th of August. And in both cases, the European Athletics Under-18 Championships and the European Athletics Championships, every minute coming to you via the European Athletics digital channels. In addition, in Birmingham, in the evenings, well, the Pick at the Field events have focal point and their own individual feeds. So if you're, let's just say, men's pole vault aficionado, or perhaps a women's long jump aficionado, you can watch every minute of those competitions. There won't be any switching away to take on board the track events. So just and on cue, there is the advert. Tickets now on sale. Well, I really would advise you to hurry along if you fancy going to those championships. It's guaranteed to be a capacity crowd for every single session. There isn't that many tickets left. And it was a pretty hot ticket, literally and metaphorically, here in Zoetermeer for the Klaverblad International Highjump competition. Really entertaining pair of competitions. The elite women won by Marta Moreira from Italy at 1.87 meters. Romain Beckford taking the title here with 2:21 in the men's competition. So those meeting records in the men's competition of 2:28, which have stayed in the hands of Jean-Marc Tamberi and Dowie Amels since 2014-2019, stay on the books for another year, as does the women's meeting record held by another Italian, Elena Valatigara, at 1.96 from 2018. Italians having done well here. This year a winner in the shape of Marta Moreira, and of course Valatigara, as well as several other Italian winners over the years. I can hear the meeting organiser trying to track down all the men. It's not as though they need to put on a lot of warm weather clothing. It's still very, very hot at around 26, 27 degrees out there. Hardly cooled off at all since the height of the heat about 2 hours ago. So, finally got everybody. This is Giannis Ananiadis, the mayor of Zoetermeer. Jordi Boboom presenting the medals. Last year's European Under-20 bronze medalist, Jin van der Lee, settling for 10th place on this occasion. Van der Lee clearing 2:05, as did this man, Charlie Husbands. I think he'd be very disappointed. He was getting good height, good height on his jumps, but the technique just wasn't quite there on this occasion. Singapore record holder Campton Cam up next. I think they're looking around for him. Yeah, he is, coming from the other side, fooling the cameraman. Dutch indoor champion, Vroelverlicht. Had a couple of good attempts at what would have been a personal best of 2:14. Cleared 2:10 for 7th place. And it equals 7th. Slovakian coward. Good clearance at 2:10. And thought he might go higher. Not to be on this occasion. Stretching out either side of the podium. Still got a few more men to come. Jeff Vermeeren. Well, Vermeeren needed 3 attempts to get over 2:14. Vermeeren finishing 6th. Timur Ivanov. Rather disappointing competition for this man, I'm afraid. Didn't ever really look like the old Timur Ivanov that we know from major championships and big one-day meetings around Europe. Edgar Ribiera had a couple of good attempts at 2:18, which would have been a season's best for the Mexican record holder. And now to the men on the podium. Paul Vendrich, 2:18, gets him onto the podium in 3rd place. Popular character Vendrich, as you can see. No, that's not the right one. That is. Vendrich. 2nd time clearance. And 2nd place goes to this man, Yunis Ayachi. 1st time clearance at 2:21, but had failures earlier in the competition, which means he loses out on count back to the man who's going to stand in the middle of Vendrich and Ayachi. This man, Romain Beckford. Excellent clearance at 2:21. Had good 1st time clearance at 2:24. And I thought he was going to be able to dig deep and maybe get that height, but wasn't to be. But Beckford, flawless up to and including 2:21. Gets the 1st prize, all the goodies, and the trophy, and the flowers. There you go. One to take home, although I think we'll be seeing Beckford several more European meetings between now and the Commonwealth Games in a couple of weeks' time. Beckford possibly going there as a medal contender. As I say, the new British revelation, Kimani Jack, maybe just the slight favourite, but Beckford's going to battle for medals, I'm sure. And there's a nice group shot to finish things off. Well, as the elite men disperse, go back to the hotel, cool down, it's time for us to say goodbye from Zoetermeer. Hope you've enjoyed the European Athletics live stream coverage of the Klaverblad International Men's Competition. Just a few wise words from Romain Beckford to finish things off. And don't forget, next week, from Thursday for 4 days, the European Athletics Under-18 Championships, coming to you live every minute of that 4-day meeting from Rieti in Italy. As I said, the first 4 editions have been absolutely thrilling and provided a glimpse into the future, and I'm sure this one will do as well.